Whether or not we are alone in the universe has been a question of humanity since the beginning of time. Over the years, there have been many instances of people claiming that they were visited by beings from beyond the stars. And although not all are reasonable, some documented cases are so credible, they're hard to refute. Are the following events evidence that we are not alone in the universe? Only you can decide. Here are 10 credible cases of alien abduction. Number 10 is Michael Des Marquis. One night in June of 1987, 58-year-old Michael Des Marquis awoke next to his wife in their Australia home, with the sudden overwhelming urge to leave. He left a note which said that he was going far away and would be back within 10 days. He was home just over 9 days later with an incredible story. Des Marquis claims that he was pulled through the fabric of space and time itself to a large vessel orbiting Ubla, a strange alien world. He met an alien named Theo who taught him the truth about Earth. He claims that humans were not the first intelligent species to inhabit our planet, and the ancient pyramids are actually communication towers. In addition, he claims that Jesus Christ was not human at all, but a Theouban trying to bring enlightenment to mankind. Des Marquis brought all of this information back with him and ended up writing a jaw-dropping book all about his experience. What's especially odd is that this man is educated and is a respected member of his community and has no reason to make up such a story. Number 9 is George Adamski. The most famous contactee of the 1950s, Polish-American George Adamski claimed that he had many experiences with an alien species called the Venusians. On October 9th, 1946, at the Palomar Gardens campground in California, Adamski, along with his friends, spotted a cigar-shaped spaceship that passed in front of the moon. That event passed, but then the ship returned on November 20th, 1952, allegedly seeking out Adamski. He claims that a Venusian pilot named Orthon met with him in a forest and communicated with him telepathically. This was apparently the first of many encounters, as he also brought the man aboard and showed him Venus, where the reincarnation of Adamski's dead wife was living. While some believe that George Adamski is a con artist and a liar, many fully believed his story and many still do to this day. Number 8 is Robert Taylor. On November 9th, 1979, 60-year-old forestry worker Robert Taylor was walking his dog in Livingston, the largest town in West Lothian, Scotland, when a dark metallic flying dome suddenly appeared, hovering above a clearing 480 meters from his truck. The object was approximately 6.4 meters in diameter and had an outer rim with a number of propellers on it. As the horrible odor of burning rubber filled the air, nauseating Taylor, 2 small orbs flew to either side of him and began forcing him towards the larger sphere. This is when Taylor claims he blacked out, waking up to find his dog still acting anxiously and the spheres gone. Unable to start his truck, he walked home and called the police. Although his story sounds insane, nobody, the police included, could explain the drag marks that the orbs had formed in the earth. Between his descriptive story and the physical evidence that remained, it's hard to believe that Robert Taylor would tell such a lie. Number 7 is Betty and Barney Hill. Around 10:30 p.m. on September 19, 1961, Betty and Barney Hill of Portsmouth, New Hampshire, were driving back from Niagara Falls, Canada, when Betty spotted an odd light in the sky. Pulling over, the couple used binoculars to get a closer look and found the object was actually some kind of alien aircraft. Alarmed, the couple sped off, though both soon felt a buzzing sensation. Arriving home, they realized that a trip that should have taken 4 hours actually took 7. Somehow, they had lost 3 hours of their lives. Betty also noticed that there was a pink powder on her dress. Both of their clothing were torn in odd places, and each of their watches had completely stopped. Betty's dreams were plagued of memories of being experimented on by unknown figures and having skin samples taken. What exactly happened to the Hills on that day is still unknown, but their story points to alien abduction. Number 6 is Hilary Porter. 70-year-old Hilary Porter from Wales claims that when she was just 5, an alien appeared before her in her family's backyard. She claims it was a scaly reptilian creature that stood 1.5 meters tall. Incredibly strong, it dragged her to its ship where she was examined and had samples taken. It was only after she returned home that she realized that this had been happening since she was 2 years old and would periodically vanish from the garden as her mother searched for her. Since then, Porter has lost count as to how many times she's actually been abducted, but always suffers migraines when she returns and often finds odd suction marks, cuts, and bruises on her body. According to Porter, aliens are among us right now and are collecting genetic material to make human-alien crossbreeds. Number 5 is Antonio Villas Boas. On October 16, 1957, 23-year-old Antonio Villas Boas was plowing a field just outside of São Francisco de Sales, Brazil, when a glowing red star appeared in the sky. What he believed was a star was actually a red egg-shaped vessel, which landed in his field. Boas claims he was suddenly grabbed by a small figure which forced him into the ship. There were multiple creatures on board who were humanoid in appearance, though shorter than an average person. Alarmingly, Boas was stripped naked, covered in gel, and forced to copulate with a female alien. 4 hours later, he was returned to Earth, having fulfilled his purpose of impregnating an alien woman. Though few people initially believed him, when Boas became ill and was diagnosed with a mild radiation poisoning, many changed their tune. He died in January of 1991 and never once changed his story. Number 4 is Kirsten Illumina. In September of 1997, 35-year-old Kirsten Illumina, president of the Republic of Kalmykia in the Russian Federation, was standing on the balcony of his Moscow apartment when he was suddenly abducted by an alien spacecraft. The creatures were kind to Kirsten, giving him a tour of a part of the galaxy. He even got to visit another planet where the aliens were picking up equipment. The humanoids could somehow communicate with him either through actually speaking or via telepathic abilities, and returned him at his request to his balcony an hour later. Now, while this story seems very far-fetched, the oddest part was that Kirsten's staff searched the entire flat for him but could not find him during the exact hour that he was away. They were alarmed and shocked when he simply walked out of his room completely unharmed and stunned by what he'd seen. The elected official has said over and over that he has no reason to make up such an elaborate story. Number 3 is Amy Rylance. On October 4th, 2001, 22-year-old Amy Rylance and her 39-year-old husband Keith were at their home in Australia, hosting their business partner, 35-year-old Petra Heller. Around 11:15 p.m., Petra woke up to the sound of smashing glass and a bright light coming from under the door to the next room. Investigating, she found Amy being carried out of a broken window on a beam of light into a ship, which quickly flew away. Both Petra and Keith called the police, who didn't believe them, but 90 minutes later, Amy called Keith from Mackay, a city 8 hours away. Amy was fine except for the evidence that her body hair had grown as if she'd been gone for several days, and there were red marks on her legs. She claims remembering tall figures taking samples from her, but little else. How she traveled such a distance and managed to age over just 90 minutes is still unknown. Number 2 is Travis Walton. On November 5th, 1975, a logging crew was sitting in the Apache Sitgreaves National Forest just outside of Snowflake, Arizona, when they saw a saucer-shaped object hovering in the sky about 33 meters away. 22-year-old Travis Walton approached it, only to be knocked through the air by a beam of light. Terrified, the other men who witnessed it drove off, but when they returned with help, Walton had vanished. Search teams brought back nothing until 5 days later when Walton reappeared suddenly. He claims that a clear mask was placed on his face and he was then on an Arizona highway as the saucer flew away. This story is widely considered to be one of the most solid pieces of evidence that alien life exists. And number 1 is Linda Napolitano. On November 30th, 1989, 41-year-old Linda Napolitano was abducted from her Manhattan apartment. The creatures who took her somehow drew her through a closed bedroom window and into their ship, where she claimed she was reassembled and opened up like a clam. While she moved, the alien stood in mid-air on beams of light created somehow by the vessel. Napolitano was then brought through the ship to a room with a long silver table and made to lay down where the aliens examined her. Adding to the legitimacy of the woman's claims, 2 United Nations security guards came forward, having witnessed Napolitano being abducted. They even kidnapped the woman, demanding to know what she knew about aliens and why they were on Earth. But unfortunately, like them, she knew very little. So, that was 10 credible cases of alien abduction. And if you enjoyed this video, remember to give it a big thumbs up. Also, be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications by clicking the little bell beside the subscribe button so that you don't miss a thing, because I release new videos all the time. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.